Hello, this is Michelle with Heart's Desire International with part 2 of how the single mom tackles dating. In our first segment, Gladys gave us 2 important first steps that you can take as you get ready to get back into the dating game. 1, to honor your desire to welcome love back into your life. And 2, to look around your life to see who will be the people who will support you as you get back into the dating game. Today, I'm here to give you 2 additional pieces of advice. One is going to help you get more second dates, and the other one is going to be about when to introduce your children to someone that you're dating steadily, which is something that a lot of single moms wonder about. So the first one, how can you ensure that you can get a second date? Well, in love and relationships and in dating, there are no guarantees. But here's one thing that you can certainly do that will help you to increase your chances of getting a second date. One thing that can be a real turnoff on a first date is being on a date with someone who overtalks. So men can do this, but generally women tend to be the ones who do this. So the overtalking can send 2 very unattractive messages. 1, that you're not confident, and 2, that you're not a good listener. So that's why you want to avoid overtalking. Another thing in that same conversation that you want to make sure you avoid doing is overtalking about your children. So this is also driven by fear. A lot of women tend to, on the first date or second date, talk a lot about their children because there's an underlying fear about whether or not this person is going to accept them as a single mom and whether or not they're going to accept their children. I know I certainly used to do this when I was single. So this is different than just sharing about your children. I'm talking about having the whole conversation be around your children. So why this is not a good idea is because it puts a lot of pressure on the other person. Usually they can pick up on what you're doing, and on top of that, it's just not attractive. I think back to when I was dating and I used to do this. I wanted to know on that first or second date if this person was going to accept me and my kids. And thinking about it now, it sounds a little crazy, but it also sounds unrealistic because how can I expect someone that I'm just spending a couple of hours with to accept me and my children completely? So that fear that drives us to do that is going to take over unless we bring some awareness to the situation and realize that we are the ones who need to decide whether or not we want to go out on a second date with this person. And how we can determine that is by not over talking and listening. Listening to what he shares, listening to the kinds of questions he asks, and also just observing whether or not the behaviors that he's demonstrating on that date are behaviors that you're interested in and that you're interested in going out with someone who has those behaviors on a second date. Now, as far as the question about when to introduce children to someone that you're dating, there are no hard set rules. Now, there are some guidelines that I use myself when I introduced my children to my now husband, and that I share and Gladys shares with our single moms and our clients. So here's the general guideline. You want to avoid introducing your children to anyone until you're 100% certain that there's a future in the relationship. Now, how do you ensure that? The first thing is you have to know for sure that you're in a committed relationship. And how you know if you're in a committed relationship is 99% of the time, he will let you know. We get letters and emails all the time from our clients going, oh my God, when you said he's going to let me know if I'm in a relationship, I thought you were crazy. But they actually do say the things that you say. So here are some of the things that a man will say when he's letting you know that he wants to be in a committed relationship with you. He might ask you to be his girlfriend. He might say, I really don't want to date anyone else. He might say, I don't want us to date anyone else, or we should really take our profiles down from Match. Anything in that realm is something like what he would say when he's letting you know that you're the only person he wants to continue to see, and that he sees a future in that, and that it's a committed monogamous relationship. Now, once he says that doesn't mean you're going to introduce him to your children. That's just the first part of it. The second part of it is for you to assess whether or not the person that you're dating is someone that you want to be part of your life long term. So it's not just up to him and whether he's ready. It's about you and whether you're ready to step into that commitment. If you're both clear that you want to be together in a committed relationship, then at that point you can start mentioning to your children that you are seeing somebody, and at some point when you set up a meeting, that's not a high pressure meeting. Maybe it's an outing that you're all on together, or a dinner at a restaurant, maybe a picnic at a park. You all can get together and introduce them to your children. So definitely you don't want to do that until there's a commitment, because if it doesn't turn out, and of course, like I said before, in love there are no guarantees, but if it turns out that you find out after spending time with them that there's something there that you're not interested in being in that commitment and with this person, then if you do that after you introduce them to your kids, it could just cause a lot of unnecessary heartache and discomfort for them. So on a first date, to get a second date, avoid over talking, specifically going on and on about your children. And secondly, wait to introduce your children to the person you're dating until it becomes a committed relationship. I hope you enjoyed this segment of part 2 of how the single mom tackles dating. And until we meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye!